Loch Lomond Lotto. Play for a chance to win our monthly cash jackpot amongst other prizes. Each draw gives you the chance to win while giving back to the local community. For more information, visit our website lochlomontv.com or follow us on social media at lochlomontv.
So welcome to this episode of Real People, and we're going to be talking to Stephen Watt about his writing and his poetry and his new book. So welcome, Stephen.
Hi, Paul. We had the launch night at Avant-Garde, and it was a joint launch with Spencer Mason, who's an up-and-coming poet in the Glasgow area, and his book is called Kartik the Grave Robber, and my own book is called Barbed Halo, but we're both put out
by... hold it up.
Yeah, sure. We're both published by Seahorse Publications.
Okay, I know the Seahorse. I love the cover. What inspired that?
The cover I didn't get much say in, to be honest with you, because I had a cover design which was a decapitated angel I found in Dumbarton Cemetery, which I thought was particularly grim for a kind of macabre book.
Because it's a collection of kind of like more macabre type poetry, is that right?
It is, yeah. There's macabre, there's crime, noir, supernatural, kind of various kind of things, even just kind of strange and kind of unusual characters that maybe less
Gothic
heard of.
To a touch to it,
yeah,
maybe.
Of course.
Okay. Yeah, well, maybe a wee poem in a minute or two, but I want to get a background to yourself. What got you into poetry in the first place?
Well, in 1999, I was assaulted about February 1999 on a train, and it must have been about a week before I was assaulted. I just kind of listened to a bin lorry rolling down a street and started scribbling something into a notepad. I should probably have been studying for exams or something. And then when I got assaulted, I then kind of used it as a kind of means of therapy. And lo and behold, I got assaulted again 4 months later in Dumbarton Town Centre. What? So yeah, I must have had mug on my forehead at the time. So, but it was very therapeutic for me. But it kind of, from that point of view, it helped me just kind of like move on and kind of. It actually went from a very, very kind of grim and dark place for me into turning into something very positive, and it's something which I obviously relish, and it's, you know, it drives me to write poetry and perform it.
It opened a kind of window for you.
It really did, and you know, I used it in my counselling, things like that. And then once you've kind of got that out your system, then you start to write about the things that you find of interest and your real passions, of which mine are like football and music and crime novels and things like that. So, and that's kind of how it led me to now.
It's fascinating, really, because I mean, I sometimes talk to kids myself about books and things, and I often talk about snakes and ladders and how a bad thing can lead to a good thing.
Yeah.
And that just sounds like a prime example where you've had something pretty awful happen, but something nice has come out of it as well.
I like that ethos of taking something quite horrible and trying to find the positives and the light in it. And actually the very, very final poem in Barbed Halo is called The Most Kissed Girl in the World. And it's actually about Rususki Annie, the girl who was hauled from the River Seine in the 1880s. Young girl in her teens, never ever identified who she was, but it was her face that's used on the CPR dolls, used by millions across the world. It saved so many lives, and I'm just trying to kind of take that dark subject matter and trying to find that light.
That's kind of nice.
Yeah.
I'm hearing more and more about poetry and poets in the area. It seems to be an up and coming thing.
I think so. Certainly in the local area, the Balloch Open Mic at Balloch Hotel has been a great driver recently. But I mean, Glasgow itself must have about 25 nights running, which is obscene. And obviously across the country, Dundee, Aberdeen, Edinburgh, there's various other evenings.
Pretty much be a full-time poet if you.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not financially, but
no, there's no money in poetry.
No.
But I think that I'm really drawn to kind of the smaller towns like Stirling and Paisley and Falkirk.
So you've been around the circuit?
Yeah. I'm just really fascinated by those kind of stories on the fringes, and you know, just seeing things through townies' eyes, you know, rather than always just kind of being in the city hubbub.
And is there quite a kind of poets community in Scotland? Do you all know each other, or?
In a way, yeah. Not everybody's going to know everybody. The thing is, I think that in the West End, there's a night called In Deep, and there's a lot of kind of students come along by Kelvin Bridge. and I think a lot of young kind of up and coming poets get their first taste at in deep, and then they'll go, well, what else is out there? And then they'll start exploring all the other kind of evenings that are going on, and then maybe we kind of cross paths or cross paths at in deep. But certainly when you talk about community, there is a great kind of support amongst a lot of writers. I don't find it quite as backstabby as you find in other kind of like genres maybe, but I think that there's certainly kind of like groups on social media that, I mean, I'm an administrator for one. There's like 5,500 people in the group, and it's for poetry and spoken word in Scotland. And it's about trying to give people opportunities to get published, to perform, competitions, all that sort of thing.
Sounds great. I get the analogy of the backstabbing thing. Playing in bands, you used to always get the support band, and they always had a support band mix. And then the real headliner mix. Not that it happens.
It's like Queen of Live Aid, isn't it? Just kind of crank it up a little bit before
Just
they go on.
give us a wee bit extra. So it's good that it's a very balanced situation in the poetry world. Do you want to give us a wee flavour of one of the poems?
Yeah, sure. Well, just to give a little bit of background, it was during the pandemic in 2020 when the restrictions were slightly lifted and we were allowed to travel around our own country, that I created researched a mini Gothic tour of Scotland, going up the west coast and coming around to the east. So we were finishing off at likes of Slains Castle, where Dracula was like kind of formed, and Mary Shelley's cottage, where Frankenstein was supposed to be inspiration. But the first place we went to was Boleskine House, which is off an old military road in Inverness-shire, and it was owned by the occultist Alistair Crowley. There was
I know the place. I've been to it.
Oh, have you?
It's a place where Jimmy Page used to own it.
Led Zeppelin. He's even had a film there as well. Well done. I'm really impressed by your knowledge in that.
No, I'm just.
So there's talk of like kind of witches' tunnels underneath there. There's been grave robbers. There's been a church burned down in the cemetery grounds with people inside it. So my wife, dog and I went up in August 2020, and I think that the Tourist Information Board try and deter people, because it's usually weirdos like ourselves that go and visit
I was hovering about it myself. Going up, part way up the drive and back down again.
So this first poem stems from that visit, and it's called Ambulances at Boleskine. On this weed-choked and ignored military road, we arrive at the burial ground at the same time as another couple. Face masked by hair, the lady walks in triptychs of rain cloud shade, afraid of champagne sunbeams gaslighting on the old pirate graves. They remain standing by the gate, listening like whispering galleries betray butterfly secrets. We drift round toppled tablets, dark cellar leaves and cinders of the incinerated kirk, sensing their eyes upon us like ghosts languish in the periphery. Hoisted dust devils, we leave these suspected Satanists to practice their black magic, eat their picnics, light their matches and little discounted candlesticks in the rum murk of the graveyard. Telepathically, skies have become oil slick, charred and peeling. 2 miles onward, and our single-track country road holds its breath, sucking its stomach in for 2 ambulances tearing past. Banshee sirens wail in the woods, and we are none the wiser if it's for a suicide pact or something entirely separate. But the heavens open, leaking angels and winged creatures to the ground, tussling in blue-red, blue-red, blue-red.
That was great.
Thank you.
That was really nice. I certainly get a vibe when I was at that house.
Yeah.
A real strange kind of feeling.
Yeah.
Did you get that as well?
Oh yeah, I mean, but that was kind of the magnetism that brought us there. Yes, I suppose when you've got a dog with you, maybe it's a little bit different. It was a pug,
Yeah,
so
well, okay.
Maybe lose a wee bit of the kind of the black magic.
The hackles goes up his back. Yeah.
But it was an interesting place to go to, and we stayed overnight in Forest, where there was like a witch's stone outside the police station, and where witches were reported to have been rolled down and barrels set on fire.
Well, this happened locally as well. There's a place called the Dumpling. I don't know if you know it.
Yeah, Gartarn. Yeah.
And it's said that way back the road, suspected witches in barrels. If they survived, they were definitely a witch, and if they didn't, they probably weren't.
You just didn't stand a chance.
So no, it's a lose-lose.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not very nice. Horrible what they did, but and also down in Whithorn's nice. Well, nice. It's a lot of witch stuff down in Wigton, the Wigton Martyrs.
Okay, yeah.
If you're interested in that kind of stuff. But that sounds, so the book has got that kind of flavour through it, going that kind of, that seam, if you like.
Yeah, it definitely
And I liked the way you brought the ambulances into the story. And
the realism coming into it all.
Yeah, it's good.
I think
and also you can see you kind of know the poems as well. You're not just reading it off the page. You looked away a few times as if you actually knew what you were talking about.
Yeah, well, I was there.
As if it was in your head.
It's based on a true story.
Yeah, but it's hard to. It's quite like project that one, and he did do a good. That's nice, nicely read. So Stephen, I hear there's a movie connection to one of the poems in your book.
Yeah, there was a collaboration with two writers. One is a crime novel author, Sandra Ireland, who's a fantastic writer, and the other one is Robert Englund, who played Freddy Krueger in Nightmare on Elm Street series. So I've heard that Robert was just very generous with his fans, and I thought, who's the biggest horror movie?
Don't ask, don't get.
Don't ask, don't get. I thought Jamie Lee Curtis from the Halloween films or Robert Englund from Freddy Krueger, and I wrote to Robert, and within 2 weeks I had a couple of lines penned by him to start a collaboration in one of the poems in the book.
That's fantastic.
It's pretty good.
It certainly is.
Yeah, I don't think he was going to come over for any of the events
well,
that we've got lined up, but you never know.
It may be over in holiday or something
over from
like
California, but we'll wait and see.
Yeah, okay, well done with that. What's next for you anyway, as far as writing goes?
Well, Barbed Halo, I have gigs lined up in Edinburgh, Stirling, Falkirk and Balloch open mic, but there's a couple of other things I've got. I want to say a reggae poetry anthology we're doing to celebrate Bob Marley's 80th birthday this year.
Wow.
So I'm doing that in line with Andy Jackson, another poet from the Dundee area.
That sounds fantastic. And people can buy this, I'm taking it at any of the events? You're going to have some copies?
There will be copies at the events, but also available online at Seahorse Publications.
Okay, and if they want to find out what you're doing, like specifically, have you got a website or something?
Facebook and Blue Sky, Stephen Watt Poet should be able to find us. Okay,
folks, I'm going to read some more of these. It sounds good, and hopefully you will too. I just want to say thank you very much for coming in, and nice to meet you, and wish you all the best.
Pleasure, thanks Paul. Cheers.
That's it for this episode of Real People, and until next time, bye for now.